guys, it's KermyFan1995 here with my first commentary on this channel. Now, today's video is on Jacob Jones's video on Kablam Bandicoot 64's rant about how music has gotten worse this decade. Oh boy. Alright, let's get to it, shall we?
Ugh, seriously? Another rant on how music's become terrible? Well, it could be worse. I mean, we could be going decade by decade to see where it all went wrong, and we could be showing a lot of hypocritical bullshit. So, yeah, maybe I'll give this a try. Let's see what it's about. 8 minutes later. Fuck my life.
Okay, first things first, those moments of silence that build up that joke fell flat from the climax. The end where you say, fuck my life was so quiet, I actually had to rewatch the clip to make sure he said something. I also had to turn the volume up, which, spoiler alert, I would later regret. They sub.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
Nope.
Hey guys, Jacob Jones here, back with another commentary. Guys, we all know that the ranting community was at one point the better parts of the YouTube community, at least until 2009. Guess what's happened to it recently? It's the laughing stock of the internet! That's right, you anonymous, weirdly Jewish-sounding stranger. It's become the joke of the internet. What with such riveting topics as such the smarks of the internet wrestling community, video games, Sonic video games, and who can forget about the rant on the television channels we used to grow up with?
I'm pretty sure the ranting community has been doing this years before you've actually said they've been doing this for. I mean, come on, how many ranters have ranted on Cartoon Network, wrestling, video games, and everything else under the sun?
Ah, yes, that Cartoon Network is a network for the goddamn communists. Hey, Nickelodeon is the Donald Trump of channels. If you didn't get the joke, let me explain. Donald Trump is a billionaire who owns a ton of businesses. He's also running for president. If he wins, may God help us all. Now, why do I compare him with Nickelodeon? Well, it's simple. Viacom is the owner of Nickelodeon, MTV, and God knows what else. They too make shitloads of money. Another reason why I am jealous of Viacom.
If you seriously have to explain the punchline of your joke has failed its one purpose.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program. And we can't forget about that Disney Channel. He still owes me money. All 44 cents of it. But I'm not going to be focusing on those today. Instead, I will be focusing on a rant on how bad music is today by Kablam Bandicoot 64. I discovered this rant from TB Probotnik Returns' commentary on it. So before you ask, yes, I know he commentated on it. I know I might be jumping on a bandwagon here, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, and see if we live this up for another day. This is Kablam Bandicoot 64's rant on modern music.
Hey guys, it's Kablam Bandicoot 64 here again with another rant.
Welcome back to Kablam Rants. And when I was a kid, music was actually worth listening to. Bye-bye!
No, I am not sitting through another chain, goddammit. Unless Scarlett does a cute voice in it.
It's been a while since I've done a rant, but that's what I'm going to do now. And this rant, I just came up with the concept for it today, and I originally thought I'm not going to do it. Everybody's talked about this before, but no. I think that this sucks too. And today's rant is going to be about music of the 2010s, i.e. right now.
Wait, so the only reason you made this rant is because other people are it? Dun dun dun! Well then, by default, your rant can no longer be taken seriously.
And that's why I'll do a commentary on this video. This video is not serious business at all.
So, why do I hate modern music? Well, I think I'm going to go all the way back to the 1960s and keep going up with each decade to describe to you why music now is just beyond awful.
Hell no. I am not wasting my time on you lecturing me on the downfall of music by decade. So instead, I'm going to skip the first two and get on to the 1980s. Big Bird, if you please.
Bitch, please, I'm gonna skip your skip screen with my skip screen.
I'm an albatross.
Next, we move on to the 1980s. Now, it's true that some of my favorite bands have come from the 1980s, such as They Might Be Giants and Ween and Weird Al Yankovic. They all came from the 1980s. However, we also got a lot of crap in the 1980s, like Madonna. Do I even need to say more than Madonna? I mean,
Yes, even though heavy metal was brought to the world, pop songs were catchy as all hell, MTV was born, and some of the best bands emerged from the 80s, it's all flushed down the toilet because this is the decade when Madonna made her debut. Because, you know, she's the spawn of Lord Santa,
Dun dun
who
dun.
spawned Justin Bieber
Dun dun
and
dun.
Salon Palon
Dun dun
and
dun.
Barack Obama.
Dun dun dun.
This can go on forever, can it?
Wait, what? How? Who? Where? I am so confused as to where this joke went.
I mean, music from the early 1980s was actually pretty good. It was a lot of new wave stuff. But as the 80s progressed, music just got worse and worse. I mean, the only really big celebrity of the 1980s that I can think of that made truly quality music was Michael Jackson. And even then, his music just became awful later on, but, through the 1980s, he was delivering quality stuff. But yeah, there was still a lot of crap in the 1980s, but I think there was a lot of good stuff too. So the 1980s were just an okay decade for music. Next, we move on to the 1990s. In my opinion, the 1990s were the best decade for rock music since the 1960s. We were getting so much quality stuff. Bands from the 80s really expanded upon themselves in the 90s and delivered some of their best material, including Ween and They Might Be Giants. Anyway,
You're right. Those bands gave out their best work back then. And so did Whitney Houston, the Spice Girls, TLC, the Backstreet Boys, Nirvana, Green Day, and NSYNC. It really confuses me why you didn't bother to... Wait! I just got something. Since the beginning of this video, you have only talked about the rock bands. Oh my god. I just got the assumption that you are a music snob, and the only reason you're doing this is because your ass's favorite genre isn't as featured as much as it wants it to be.
Did it take you 7 minutes and 40 seconds to realize this guy doesn't care much for pop music and loves rock music? God freaking damn it.
Or at least that's what it thinks. Wow. What a brainstorm. What a brain fuck.
anyways, the 1990s were an amazing decade for music. And out of all of these, they might be my favorite decade for music, rivaled only by the 1960s. So the 1990s were, without saying more, a great decade.
Here comes the man who's drunk with nostalgia again. Back in my day, we didn't have a sort of shitty music. We had good shit. Not today's shit music.
Next, we move on to the 2000s. Now, I don't hate all the 2000s era of music. In fact, a lot of the stuff from the early 2000s was just as good as a lot of the stuff from the 90s. I mean, bands like Smash Mouth and Maroon 5 were delivering very quality material in the early 2000s. However, as the decade progressed, music quality just declined, even more than the 80s. Quality just declined in the 1980s.
A script you must use for repeating your sentences redundancies.
Well, while Kablam was a tad bit repetitive here, you used the same skip screen as before. Screw you, I'll counter your repetitiveness with my repetitiveness!
Stop fucking with me!
Jesus Christ, my ears! My heart! Okay, but really, I had my volume low and it still hurt. Please, for the love of Christ, lower the volume with these jokes. I can't take much more.
Finally, we move on to the decade we're currently in as of this recording, the 2010s. Oh lord. Remember when I was talking about Maroon 5 earlier? Yeah, their music is awful now. I can't stand listening to Sugar. I mean, compare Sugar to This Love, and you'll definitely see a decline in quality.
I want you guys to keep this in mind because this is gonna come back in about a minute to bite him in the freaking ass.
I mean, it feels like every artist who was once good in the 2000s and the 90s are just selling out. And it's just been getting worse as this decade has moved along. I mean,
No, I may be a kindly southern man. Now, I may be a kindly southern gentleman, but I say that's the fault of them companies who hire said magicians, not the musicians themselves. It's like saying I blame John Cena for all of WWE's troubles. It's all backwards propaganda!
That is it. My ears are officially taking you to court, Mr. Jacob Jones.
I mean, at first we got crap like Justin Bieber's Baby, and then we got crap like Rebecca Black's Friday, and then we got crap like One Direction, and now we have crap like Nicki Minaj, or however you say her name.
And there you have it, the main problem with most music rants. They only focus on the big dogs of pop. Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj? Okay, man, that I can understand. But what about the Imagine Dragons, Ariana Grande, Perfect Magic, Andy Grammer, Adele, Bruno Mars, Kelly Clarkson, and Kobe Calliot?
The reason these ranters don't bring up a lot of these artists are because they're obscure enough to go under their radar. And in the case of Bieber, he tends to make headlines in the worst way, whereas most of these artists you brought up don't. Also, seriously, you couldn't be bothered to Google search images to use for your examples? Sheesh.
They're all pretty good musicians, and they don't earn nearly as much as respect as Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj do. But guess what they have that they don't? I'll give you a hint. They're actually talented.
What's that? This came back to bite him in the ass? Well, I certainly hope someone picked up that phone. Because I freaking called it!
And before you ask, yes, I know I could list a few more. But I think I'll leave it to two other commentators who are much better at music than I am.
Yeah, no. I'm just gonna skip this part. He basically takes TP and another commentator and uses their clips. He also has a clip that really, really, really hurt my ears. So I'm not really gonna bother with that. And besides that, the last bit of his video is basically just him singing and recommending using sites for looking up music and all that stuff. So now it's time for my final thoughts, and where to start? Okay, well there was a few times, like I mentioned, about your volume that even on the lowest possible setting was unbearable. Some of your jokes fell flat, and when commenting on someone who's being biased, it's probably best you avoid showing a bit of bias yourself, all things considering. And that's that. This has been Kermie Fan 1995 with yet another commentary, signing off.